Welcome to Equity Story, the 13th of July, Wednesday, hump day, middle of the week. We've got a disclaimer in front of you, so just quickly mention that everything we talk about today is general in nature only. Every stock, we talk about the fundamentals and technicals only. So let's get on with it and what's making the headlines today. And unfortunately, Hounsey is sick with COVID. So that's the big news. Unfortunately, it's the second time. The one who's not believing in, I suppose, COVIDs in a way. Well, he does believe in COVIDs, but doesn't believe in vaccines. Unfortunately, he's got caught twice. But that's not the issue here. The issue is we've been talking about COVID and what the impact might be, because he's got it a second time, and he's got it as strong as he's got it the first time. So this variant could be potentially fairly significant, and we need to make heads or tails of that one. So what are we going to look at? I suppose we need to look at two things. We look at what's going to be impacted positively and what's going to be impacted negatively. And I think let's look at the negatives first, and then we'll move on to the positives. And I think maybe travel, right? You're going to have definitely, first of all, we're heading down that recession path. So I don't think that's avoidable at this stage, when we're going to see some Chinese numbers end of the week. The percentages that we're going to have a recession are rising in the US and possibly Europe and other places. So it seems like it's inevitable, right? So this COVID wave is not going to help. That's probably actually going to add to the percentages that is going to happen. So what's that going to affect? Possibly retail stocks, possibly travel stocks, even though with the travel itself, we've got a pretty strong pent-up demand for traveling. If there's going to be masks, if there are going to be some restrictions, and we've seen the COVID wave really get out of hand in Europe already. So let's see what actually happens. We know we're probably talking about it maybe a little bit early, but we're trying to catch it early so we can prepare ourselves. So what are the two maybe stocks to look at in this space as a positive? So I'm thinking two things. I'm thinking maybe with the healthcare space, looking at Sonic, which has done the testing. So there's probably going to be much more testing going on. So I'm quickly have a look at SHLs of the world to see where they're at. And then maybe RMD, something like that again, if there's going to be more hospitalizations, right? That will come through. So you can see maybe Sonic a little bit early from that, right? But at least it is heading down a right direction. And given maybe 1 or more 2 weeks, just to see how this variant plays out, because it looks like a little bit more serious than previous variants. And also remember, China is not possibly doing quite well itself. And with all these lockdowns in and out, that could really bite them on the ass over the next few weeks. So I'm worried, to be honest. We don't need another issue to add to all the issues we've got with the Ukraine, Russia, with China, with recessions. So now we need to add another variant problem. It's just the way it is at the moment. This 2022 is probably going to be a big write-off. But like I said, many times over, it hopefully will present us lots of opportunities to buy some really cheap, great stories at cheap prices. So Sonic is one, but we maybe just have to wait for another week or two. Let's look at RMD, and that's, I think, looking a little bit better than previous. So let's have a look at RMD right now, and that's definitely looking better. So that's above trend, but we're just going to wait till the end of the week to see how it performs before we might have another look at it. But it definitely looks much better than Sonic. So potentially this could be buying earlier than a Sonic over the next couple of weeks. So just watching that one. We're going to wait till the end of the week and see actually what happens there. The second part we want to talk about is commodities. So with the recession and everything else, you can probably see we're having one of those sharp cyclical times in the commodity space where we're going up and down within 3 years, right? That's fairly acute and fairly sharp. So you can see 2020, we've gone bang, bang, bang from about 2,600 to 4,800 at the top. And now we're rapidly coming down, and I'd say we might come back. This is the commodities index. So we've seen iron ore, we've seen copper, and some of the other base metals coming down. I know that maybe coal is still doing okay, lithium's still doing okay. So some of those things are still going okay. But generally speaking, the sentiment with the recession and everything that's being definitely playing the part of a cyclical downturn in the mining space. So we could see that back to 3,200. So if I was in any of the stories like your BHPs, unless I'm holding for the dividend, right? And maybe I can make a case as a dividend, yeah, I'm expecting this up and downs, yeah, whatever. I'm just picking up the dividends. Fair enough. I'm not going to argue with that. But if you're a trader, or maybe even long-term investor, you want to get out now and maybe pick it up around the 32, because I think that's where it's heading down to at the very least, right? About $32. So that's that. And look at something like an OZL. That's probably even worse. That looks almost like it's coming back so strongly. Broken all support. Everything else is done. Even I think the monthlies, it's been smashed now. So yep, that's gone too. That's probably adding to 14, even $11. So if I put it on a 5-year chart, right, you can see it's heading down this way. It's getting down to $10. So you wouldn't be wanting to touch anything commodities at the moment. Possibly have a couple in there that might be still trending, like a coal stock. Let's have a look at WHC maybe to see where it's at. But generally speaking, it looks pretty poor. Sentiment is definitely negative, so it's not easy. But look and see, coal, it's still doing all right. So that's one that you can still probably be okay in, right? And it's in fact, it's actually turning nicely up, and possibly you could have a little play with that one. So it's not even across the board, but generally speaking, the base metals, the iron ores of the world are not doing too great. Even if you look at lithium, that's really heading down. Yesterday we talked about some of the lithium stocks, your CXOs like AKEs even. Let's have a look at AKE, which is maybe with PLS the top 2, right? Pure place, but look at that. That's broken weekly chart, so that looks like it's heading down. Maybe $9. Really, you don't want to see it break $9. But if you're a trader, you've got to use the CTM. If that breaks that by the end of the week, you're out. I wouldn't even wait for $9. I'd probably be out. Come back maybe somewhere like $8 or even lower at $7, something like this. So it doesn't look great. Sentiment has definitely turned negative. So individual wise, is there any stories this morning? Yes, there was a couple actually. So let's have a look at EGL first of all. In environmental space, I love upgrades. Unfortunately, the one thing that's going against it's pretty small. It is lightly traded, so the sentiment just isn't there. Normal times I'd probably be buying this up. In this time, no. You want to probably see it in 21, 22 cents before you buy that, and maybe take it from there. If it gets there to 20, 27, 28, maybe 30 cents. But that's no. Also, no is KMD or the retail space. When we're heading down to a recession, you probably don't want to touch these things too early. So we're going to just leave it and see how it turns, and maybe look at it maybe 6 months time to see how this actually pans out. So from that, we're going to move on to a couple of other things. So let's have a look at a couple of stocks on FN Arena that had updates. And first of all, I want to quickly mention APE. So we talked about it yesterday, and I'll put it in chart so you can have a look. There was an upgrade yesterday, so that was always a positive. It's trading pretty cheap. You can make an easy case for a dividend play. Trading, I think, on about 10 times, 11% yield. Upgrade yesterday. Macquarie's got a 16 price target outperform. Morgan Stanley's got a 12 price target overweight. So medium of that is about 14. So that's still pretty positive. That's why you can make a case for that. The other one I want to quickly mention is CSL. They're talking about, heard a great chat actually last week. Probably could easily get up to that 312, 315 maybe, right? The previous highs. And looks like it's actually heading that way. And there was an update today from Morgan Stanley, I think, on CSL. Let's look at that. Overweight and a price target of 312. So pretty positive. And really the interesting thing they talk on that is that across the industry, collection centers rollouts remain strong, up 10% in June year on year. So that's a very positive view for CSL. So potentially this could report pretty well in the next couple of months. So one to maybe to have a look at, play with, one of the bigger stocks, and looks very positive. Will it be derailed by the COVID variant? Hard to say, but as long as there's no hospitalizations, then maybe, or the bad really stuff that we had previously, then maybe it'll be okay. Let's look at the last thing, and that is just what's trending this morning, and that is hopefully, because we're in the middle of the week, we had a pretty bad start this week to our little tech plays, right? We thought they're going to bounce a little bit, but today we've had some that are in a green, which is good. So like I said to you yesterday, let's just wait a little bit of the week to see exactly where they're at. Let's not panic. It could have been a short-lived type little trade on the tech stocks, but maybe they've got a little bit more to go. So one is E-Road, definitely still a hold if you've got into that little trade on E-Road. See the big green candle, it's just come back slightly, so that's okay. Let's have a look at Codan also. It's in a positive, so that's a good thing for us. OCL, another one. So that's looking okay. Alcidion, I think we talked about that one as a little play. Hopefully that we can recover to that 15, 16 cents with time. Let me see if there's anything else in there that I thought we talked about. Let me see, slightly lower. But generally speaking, you can see 360 is another one here that's had that big jump. You know, slight pullback. As long as it doesn't go back all the way down to that under $3, then I suppose we're still good to go on it. So generally speaking, you can see there's some tech stocks having a better day today. So that gives me a little bit of encouragement towards the end of the week. So I'm still holding my line. Possibly could make some money on these tech stocks. Let's see how we go. On Friday, we'll talk about it in more detail. I'm wishing Hounsey good recovery, of course. Let's hope he survives, comes back to us next week. And I've got this obviously under control. I'll be speaking to you on a daily basis by myself by the looks of things this week. So thank you very much for joining me. Have a great day and see you again tomorrow. Cheers.